love will abide. Take things in stride.
Talk to me a little bit about the choice, the creative choice to have Frank and Bill's story go differently in the TV show than it does in the game.
That's the one that deviates quite a bit. And my process was always keep my mind open to any kind of changes. Again, sometimes because we just have to make certain changes when translating it to this other medium. But the greater the change, the more good it has to be. Bill is like a pivotal character in the game that mentioned this relationship that he's had with his partner, Frank. And Craig pitched me on the idea of like, what if we fleshed out that relationship? And I had similar ideas in mind to flesh them out, but obviously this deviate even more so.
I was just sort of inspired by the fact that you understood fairly subtly that Bill had a romantic partner named Frank. And in the game, you don't meet Frank. He's already dead. They split up, they hate each other. It was a darker kind of lesson, but it was also built a little bit around the necessity of gameplay there. Mm-hmm. But for me, I thought there was something really interesting about a man who had somehow managed to do the impossible and create a safe bubble that nobody could get into. Right. And then who should show up but somebody that gets in and then gets in his heart. And I wanted to show relationship at length. I wanted to look at middle-age romance and commitment and what it means to love somebody and protect somebody. And I also wanted to show how life would continue, including natural death, natural aging, natural loss.
And we get to see these two characters that, you know, like any kind of human relationship, they go through like good times and bad times, but they get to go out on top, which is rare in our world and even more rare in this other like messed up world. And I think it elevates Joel and Ellie's journey because it kind of sets up, again, what's at stake at this world and what do you have to gain and what do you have to lose.
You know, Nick and Murray were just another example of us getting really lucky. Murray is an incredible actor. He's just won an Emmy. Nick Offerman is Nick Offerman, for God's sakes. But you never know when you put actors together, especially for romance, will there be chemistry? Mm-hmm. Will it feel? And it was so, I don't know, it was just beautiful from the jump. You could just tell it was working.
A man who knows to pair rabbit with a Beaujolais.
I know I don't seem like the type.
No, you do.
Who was cast first? Who knew who they were going to be first?
I was, but I think we were probably unaware of who and when was cast at the time. I knew a couple of months before that I was going to be doing the show, yeah.
When it came to me, I think a couple months later, Murray had been secured, and the timing was such that we had just, I got this offer a few days after finishing season 1 of The White Lotus. That couldn't have been a more perfectly dangled carrot.
That's awesome. That's so amazing.
I mean, literally.
Nick, Bill is living his like best post-apocalyptic life, it seems like. Obviously, no one would choose this, but he's well set up. Do you think he's happy? Is that a word you would use for how he is before Frank shows up?
Well, it's really a good question. Based on how happy and satisfying and perhaps complete his life becomes once he finds someone to love, someone to care about, someone to make him scared that they're going to get hurt and that he's going to lose them.
Right.
Before that comes into his life, I think that, he probably has a lot of superficial happiness, like a squirrel who has nuts stored away for the winter, but boy, that squirrel sure would like a hug. But the squirrel buries that emotion and that need. So if you asked Bill, he probably would have, gruffly said, "You right, I'm happy." But turns out he'd be happier with a kiss. I think I'm gonna love you for a long, long time.
So let's go to that scene at the piano, which was a thing of beauty. Was it always the Linda Ronstadt song? Was that always the song choice?
It was.
As far as I know, yeah.
I had a couple of months to practice playing that song badly because that's what it said. You know, Frank plays badly. So from the first day that I knew about the show, that was the song. Really awesome choice, I think.
So good. Was there ever a moment where they were like, that's a little too bad? Could you make it a little bit less bad?
No, funnily enough.
Frank's rendition was jaunty.
But there's no one at my side. And
No. So, no, thank you. Sorry. Not this song. Not this song.
Obviously, right, the moment is a huge one for Bill. It seems like this is the first time he's been seen, truly seen for who he is and what he wants. Do we think that that's an accurate take?
Sure, absolutely. We meet Bill, we see what his life is. Bill meets Frank. There's an air of mystery. Where's this going? He makes this dinner all the way up until the point where Bill is, despite himself and his years of preparation, he's caught unawares. He's caught vulnerable, where he's faced with the choice of, do I dive into this for the first time in my life or not? And that, was very tantalizing to get to take a swing at.
So, who's the girl? Girl you're singing about?
There is no girl.
I know.
What stuck out to me too is, Murray, that Frank is also deeply affected by what is happening there, right? This is not just an awakening and someone kind of watching that happen. He's hit, it seems like, just as hard by what's happening.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think because in a world like that, it's easy to give up hope in general, and certainly to give up hope that you might find a meaningful connection with someone. And also that Bill at first, although I feel like Frank can probably see a glimmer of something inside Bill, but like Bill is sort of an unlikely candidate in a way. He's got such a thick skin and sort of hard to read and is very protected. The sort of situation opens up for both of them in that scene around the piano. It opens up for Frank in a way of like, I never thought I would ever find this again. I just didn't think that was even a possibility. And the realization of that is so overwhelming and emotional.
I don't think these guys would have been in each other's orbits in the non-post outbreak world, right? I mean, they just don't seem like they share a lot of interests, hobbies, that kind of thing.
No, but I mean, one thing that's brilliant about the show are the echoes of our own pandemic lives, where suddenly the world hits reset and different things to value come into focus. And so I agree that pre-pandemic, as it were, they wouldn't have traveled in the same circles. But then suddenly, when everything comes down to, do you have food? Do you have gasoline? Do you have a battery for your vehicle? Suddenly, the dating pool has shifted dramatically.
There's also something which I find really amazing about this show and this episode is when everything is stripped away, does it also strip away all the things that you've used as markers for if this person like a good match for me, or am I attracted to this person? Or does it make it much more sort of primal in terms of just sort of feeling if there's a connection there, rather than like fixating on the package of when I say package, I mean the whole package. The package of the package.
I just appreciate the grandiosity of your gesture.
It was very nice.
I really was leaning into that. But you know what I mean? What kinds of connections do we make when everything is stripped away? And I think that this relationship is a kind of a testament to what's possible, that maybe we move through all of those things and you can find connection in possibly unlikely places, always, if you're willing.
For both of your characters, was there any wardrobe detail or prop detail that you just were like, once you had it in your hand, or that you requested, you were like, this is Frank or this is Bill?
When you first started the question, I was like, oh my God, undoubtedly the meal that was served, the meticulous sort of plating, and it was a beautiful meal. I just got a flash of seeing that plate for the first time. That was just so gorgeous that, there was many of those sort of elements of the production that were just like kind of mind-blowing and super helpful for us.
I come from a family of farmers, and they're incredibly self-sufficient. They're among the most intelligent people and, you know, the least classically educated. They're not in the job pipeline heading for a cubicle at an investment firm. They know how to make the world serve their harvest. And so to get to drive a truck, hook it up to a boat, because he looks around and he says, I'm going to need to haul some stuff. I can put stuff in this boat. To amass the materials and the mechanisms required to power his you know, microcosm just felt incredibly competent and made me feel like I could halfway hold my head up around my aunts and uncles who do that in real life.
It's awesome. Well,
Can I make a little addition?
yes, please.
It made me think about, in terms of more of a character thing, the strawberry patch is like Frank's pride and joy, because I feel like it's sort of, he feels like he's doing something that is like more in Bill's territory, and which is like a rare thing probably. And so like there was such sort of pride and joy in the mix of like the practical of creating it, but also it's something like kind of magical and creative.
Yes.
That was a beautiful sort of character connection for Frank.
I'd love for you guys to take me inside the filming of that final dinner. I mean, this is not a world in where people get happy endings, right? Frank and Bill of the game did not get happy endings. And we get this beautifully bittersweet, crafted finality to their love story. It's such a nice thing. So tell me just anything you want to tell me about shooting that final dinner, that final day.
I will only say it was so satisfying, given we got to play out this whole story with its ups and downs. You know, it's so funny that we like fall madly in love and then slam cut into you storming out the front porch, screaming, and we're fighting. Oh, you! Which to me is like, oh, they are in love.
That feels true.
And to go through this whole thing and then get to that final dinner, and for me personally to get to communicate to him that I'm going to go with him by the way I drink the drink. That was just, as an actor, that was something that was one of the most delicious indulgences I've ever gotten to experience. And again, it's a testament to the writing that all the pieces have been put in place so that merely by tweaking how I drink a glass of wine, hopefully the penny drops for the audience as well as Frank.
Were there already pills in the bottle?
Enough to kill a horse.
We don't get to see Bill and Ellie interact in the show as we do in the game. Do you think this version of Bill, how do you think he would have found Ellie?
This only just occurred to me. It reminds me of the dynamic between Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation and Aubrey Plaza's.
This guy came in, he got his hand stuck in a Pringles can, and he tried to cut himself out.
Was there a lot of blood?
blade did he use? The competent curmudgeon and the young bad attitude upstart, the realist, the teenage realist.
He passed out over his arm and slumped onto the floor.
Did the bone show?
Very good question, April. Answer her. I think they would have had a begrudging admiration for each other and made a great team in a pinch.
It's amazing. I mean, Frank clearly considers Tess and Joel friends, right?
Yeah, especially Tess.
Right, especially Tess, right? Nick, do you think Bill considers Joel a friend? Do you think he would ever use that word, even if he does?
No, he's a scumbag.
Oh my God, I never want that look you just gave the camera leveled at me personally. That was so scary. All of a sudden I'm like, he hates the question. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's hearing, isn't it?
He's a criminal.
When people get too chummy with me, I like to call them by the wrong name to let them know I don't really care about them.
That's a genius move.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Lester.